This is StarTalk.
Welcome to StarTalk Radio. I'm your host, Bill Nye, the Science Guy. And with me today is Eugene Mirman.
Hello, Bill. Wait, where's Neil?
Neil?
Yeah.
Neil Tyson, DeGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
I think he's got a television gig. He's busy. He's gone. He asked me to sit in, but I am doing my best to have good posture. Also with us today, Eugene, is Mike Massimino from NASA. Unlike many of us, flown in space. Call him Mass. Yeah?
That's good. Call me Mass. Good to be here, Bill. Thanks. How you doing, Eugene?
Good to see you, Mike.
Now, Mike, you're in New York.
I am. I'm at Columbia University as a visiting professor. I'm on loan from NASA. I'm teaching a space-related course, Introduction to Human Spaceflight, and enjoying being in New York City.
Let me ask you this. So
Ask away.
This is the introduction to human spaceflight.
That's right.
Is there like 200, 210, 300 level courses? How many courses do I take in human spaceflight?
This is the introduction, so we'll start with this, and then we'll see how this one goes. We're taking it one at a time.
If you take that
class,
class,
if it goes well, we'll see where we want to go from there.
Is that enough to kind of go in? Like, how much more than your class would I need to go into space?
You would need a lot, Eugene, but all of us need a lot.
A lot.
But this will give you the basics of what you need to learn.
Say I took your class and had, I don't know, $85 billion. Would those two things be
With
enough?
the $85 billion, you don't need my class. In fact, I would recommend
I don't want to
waste
the money.
No, in that case, I would say don't waste your time. If you figured out a way to make $85 million and you want to spend it on a space flight, I would go straight to that option.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, this is the Cosmic Queries edition of StarTalk Radio. And we have queries from out there, from the social media.
Yes, from Facebook, Twitter, probably photos on Instagram of questions.
The Tumblr, all the things that kids are using with their electric computer machines.
Exactly.
College kids.
Yeah, a lot of we'll see. So my understanding is Eugene, radio's a visual medium out there. He's got some papers.
Yeah, I have some papers with questions that people wrote in about NASA and planetary science funding, and I'm going to read them. Ready?
So let's try one.
Let's do it. Will Burke asks, what is the biggest stumbling block for NASA to get funding? Is it stubborn legislators, science illiteracy, or other factors? What's the best way we can change it?
Mass?
I think that NASA does get funding. We always could use more.
Yeah.
I think in general,
Yeah.
But I think it's just how we value things. If we would value the science that comes out of the space program more, I think people would be willing to pay more for it. Exploration, international. I think a lot of people don't understand all the things that NASA does.
What are
like internet? Let's just take one thing: international cooperation. You might not think of NASA with international cooperation, but a lot of the science programs we have, particularly International Space Station, is international.
It's called the International Space Station.
It might be very hard to make friends with a Russian on this planet, but if you just go a little into space, everybody's friendly.
Well, look about when I was a kid, we weren't necessarily friends with the Russians. The Soviet Union and the U.S. were in a Cold War, and now we fly into space with these people all the time. We're really good friends with them. And I think that's one benefit that people don't realize.
The other thing, everybody, for me, science is important, and I love science. I'm the science guy after all. But what the space program brings us is this optimism. When you have a space program, no matter what country you are, your society believes, many people believe, that any problem can be solved. If you can put a man on the moon, we can make a car that goes over 100,000 miles. We can do anything. And this is why all these countries you might not think of having space programs that you fly with, South Africa, what have you, Australia, on the back of the Canadian Brazil.
Brazil has a space program?
Marcos
See,
Ponce
hear the tone?
is an astronaut.
You hear the tone of his voice?
Yeah.
He was
Inquisitive.
incredulous.
Oh, no,
Norway.
I'm not mad at them. I'm glad.
No, I didn't. You just didn't believe it. It's crazy, wild. Yes, because they know the value of having people running around in your society solving space problems.
Yeah.
And the thing for me, as the executive director, CEO of the Planetary Society, is
in charge.
Is planetary science is where these new problems are being solved. Trying to land a car on Mars is an extraordinary undertaking. And so when you go to solve problems that have never been solved before, you just innovate. Can't be helped. So that's the value is selling politicians of all sides of the executive, the judicial, and and the congressional representative on the value of space exploration.
So that's because the last part of that question was, what's the best way we can change it? What are, like, say,
Vote.
2 or 3 things?
You got to
voting,
Yeah.
vote on the way that people vote on particular issues, vote on the issue of science.
That's right. Well, especially space science. In this
Space science.
case, yes. So people say, why are you exploring Mars? What are you going to find there? We don't know. That's why we're exploring.
We're going to probably find the technology to make even better cell phones. That's what people don't
No,
get.
that's absolutely correct. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
But people do have a voice in this. For example, the Hubble Space Telescope, which was, I think, a very good combination of human spaceflight and planetary science. Would you
Yes.
agree?
Oh, yes.
All the smart people that
Yeah.
come up with the
I
discoveries.
mean, it had some problems, so you had to walk
It
in
had some
space and
problems.
fix it.
That's yeah. Well, they had canceled the last servicing mission that I was lucky to be on. They had canceled it, and then it got brought back mainly because of public outrage and the politicians listening. And Bill, I'm sure, is a big part of that. They wanted Hubble fixed.
If we could
So
only
people do have a voice.
if we could only trick Al Qaeda into bombing something in outer space, we'd be there.
Well, that
in
was what
weeks.
started the whole thing. Was the ultimate high ground. We digress.
Yeah.
So vote, person on the who asked the question, and
Yeah.
let's change the world.
Okay, here's a next question from Chris Van Gundy. Shouldn't the rest of the government be begging NASA for money?
Well, this is the old question. You see, it's not do space exploration or provide clean water for people who don't have it, or provide education for girls and women so that they raise the standard of living and improve the quality of life for all citizens everywhere. It's not one or the other. It's not NASA or build a new baseball stadium. You have to do everything all at once.
Right.
That's
Also, doesn't NASA, investing in NASA then literally has a very good return, right?
Yeah.
In
Well,
terms
this
of the money the government spends.
And it's not very much. It's less than 1 penny of your tax dollar that
Yeah.
goes to NASA.
0.4%. And furthermore, also in addition to continue, the current number is $3.60. For every dollar that goes into NASA, you get $3.60 back.
That's pretty good.
That's really good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Some people will argue that highways are slightly larger, but highways in general do not lead to innovation the way space exploration does.
And it's something for the future.
It's about the future. Innovation is what's going to drive the economy. So anyway, you guys, pretty soon we
Yeah.
got to take a break.
You've sold me on it.
We got to take a break, but I want you all to out there to visit www.startalkradio.net. Find us on Twitter at StarTalkRadio. Check out Eugene Mirman at Eugene Mirman. And check out Mike at Astro_Mike. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back to Star Talk Radio. I'm Bill Nye, the Science Guy, guest hosting for my beloved colleague Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm here with your favorite, Eugene Mirman, and everybody's favorite astronaut, Mike Massimino. Call him Mass. And this is the Cosmic Query edition of Star Talk Radio, and we have your queries from the cosmos. There's very strong evidence that all of these questions are from people within our universe.
Yes.
But maybe not.
We'll find out.
Take one.
Let's go. William Dyke asks, what are some of the current and future strategies of privatized space travel versus those of NASA or other government-based space programs? What is different about their strategies and why? What types of missions or projects do you see these two sides carrying out 50 or 100 years from now? Ooh, that's a lot of questions. People are
A lot of stuff.
terrified of only
It's-
asking one clear question.
It's of a piece, though. It's all one thing.
Yeah.
The difference is when people started exploring space at NASA, they weren't trying to make money. The modern idea is that you could make money in space. Now, people make a lot of money in space with communication satellites. I don't want to shock you all, but there's this business of the National Security Agency, and there's certain spy satellites, and there's a lot of weather satellites, and those data are sold like crazy.
There's a lot of money in rain.
That's right, there is. If you're a farmer, yeah, you have great fascination and so on. With that said, there are extraordinary ideas. Let's go get an asteroid and pull back the platinum.
Yeah.
But anyway, those people believe they can make money. But note well, a company like SpaceX or Sierra Nevada Space or X-Corp Corporation, Virgin Galactic, not Virgin Galactic, but these companies take money from the U.S. government to promote or to develop their rockets. It's not a standalone business yet. Mass, did you get involved in that stuff?
Yeah, we're working the 3 of the companies that are trying to get us back to with people launching to the International Space Station. with astronauts. You mentioned a couple of them, SpaceX, Sierra Nevada, and Boeing. Or we have contracts
Sierra
with them.
Nevada is not a soda company.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's
to
nothing to do
clarify.
with beverages.
Okay.
Although hopefully they will provide beverages on their spaceship.
Eventually.
You need water.
Hey,
Yes.
I've got a question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you guys really drink Tang?
We drink what we call orange flavored drink because the name you mentioned
No branding
is
in
a
space.
brand, right? Exactly. So everything we have, like let's take a chance. Q-tip, okay, is not a Q-tip. It's a cotton swab assembly.
And
Oh, it's
That's
an
what it
assembly.
officially. And what really gets
So is it a CSA?
it's a cotton swab, a CSA, but we want to make sure we know what it is because CSA could also be Canadian Space Agency.
or
But it gets
a
really
community-supported agriculture.
You know what it really gets confusing though?
What?
Is when you need to take like any kind of medicine or
Yeah.
because it's all got it doesn't have the brand names.
Oh, so you don't know? But
We
are
don't know
you
what the
allowed
heck
to
half this
bring
stuff is.
brands into space and just not say them? Like if you ever had a candy
Go
bar,
ahead.
I don't even know.
That's right. Well, we have certain candy bars we have certain candy. It's very very popular because
Yeah.
they're small and you can float them.
Yeah.
And we call them candy covered chocolates.
You don't call them WWs and just like, oh,
Oh, let's
Candy-
get back to this guy's
Yeah.
question.
But everything has its generic name.
Yeah, so what are
we have
some
a generic name
private-
for that product, which is orange flavored drink.
orange flavored.
So while you're enjoying your orange flavored drink, it is to be hoped that soon you will get up into microgravity
Yes,
by means of rockets not built exclusively by NASA.
correct. And
Yeah.
that's what and NASA has worked with contractors right from the very beginning, with some of the big government contractors, Rockwell International, for example.
The old joke, you got to the moon on the lowest bidder.
That's correct. All the Grumman, all these companies all work together to build spaceships funded by the government. So there is some government funding going into those private
Right.
companies as well. So I think it's a good partnership. I think, as Bill said, they're trying to make money.
Yeah.
And so this could be a very, very exciting time. And I've noticed that at my position at Columbia with all these young, smart kids, and these kids are a lot smarter than I ever remember being. They are interested in the space program just as much as we were when we were kids, but it's not just NASA. They're interested in going to work for one of these companies. They see
Right.
it as entrepreneurship as the future. And I think that there's going to be, hopefully, if you're optimistic about it, a very good relationship
Right.
between the companies and NASA in the future.
Well, NASA is a sort of launching pad for a lot of private.
A
companies.
launching
the idea.
pad. That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Sorry to.
Wow, how'd you work
Get
that in
involved.
there?
Let's try another
But that's
question.
the whole idea.
Yeah. All right. Here's another question from Susan Minobe. People often complain about the NASA budget and claim that private industry should take over some of the work that NASA does, but they don't do it already because of government. But they do it already because of government contracts. What % of the NASA budget goes to private sector contractors? That's the question.
I don't know, but it's got to be enormous. Whenever you buy hardware, you're buying it from companies like Boeing,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like United Launch Alliance, what have you.
Yeah. NASA buys stuff from a lot of companies, right?
But in
They
the
don't-
bigger
Yeah, they would get
picture-
contractors to work for them because they only have a certain number of people working in the NASA workforce.
How much stuff is built there?
I don't
Well,
know.
if let's say you have a Mars rover, hypothetically, it's
Sure.
machined. The metal is cut at the Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena. Some of it, the mirrors are coated somewhere else. The lenses are ground somewhere else, and these are all done by companies. But the fundamental, if I can read into this question a bit, right now there's no business model that takes people to Mars. There's no business model to find out whether the core of Jupiter has hydrogen that acts like a metal. There's just no reason for a private company to do that at this time.
Even though I'm very curious.
Well, yes.
That's
And
not enough
furthermore-
reason.
that don't put bread on the table, Eugene.
Well, you don't know that because you might find something about the hydrogen metal that would affect the way we make semiconductors or
Well said.
microcircuits or something.
Yeah.
With that said, these things are all built by contractors, and then the crossover right now is the people who want to mine asteroids. And at first, it sounds sexy and fabulous and literally a shiny object to go to an asteroid and get platinum.
Yeah.
But apparently, the big thing they want to get on asteroids is water. So you take water and then it's fuel for your spaceship to keep going. So you have solar panels on your spaceship, your Tang, your spacecraft. You get out there into the asteroid, you electrolyze water, make it hydrogen and oxygen. somehow put it in a tank. How hard could it be in outer space?
Yes.
I know a
Millions
kid
of
that could do that.
kilometers from here, yeah. And then you would have fuel to go on to some other exotic destination, maybe to your platinum-bearing asteroid, and you drag that back to the Earth and get rich.
That's a pretty good plan. All right, so here's a question from Twitter from Michael Christian. He asks, what kind of private donation systems exist to supplement funding NASA projects or other planetary science research?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure this person is referring to the Kickstarter program for StarTalk Radio. Wait.
Or for a shuttle. Is there a Kickstarter to raise billions of
The
dollars?
only donation system I know is called taxes.
Really?
People, I mean, I don't.
Wait,
I
you
don't.
can't
But Bill
give-
probably know. I mean, as far as NASA goes,
Yeah.
NASA gets its budget based on the tax dollar.
But the way that NPR or various places that are partially public, partially private get money, is there a thing like that where you could be like, you know what, I'm going to give $7 billion to NASA?
Well, there is one that I know of, and I'm not an expert on all of them that there might be, but the Arkyd telescope. This is a idea where they're going to make telescopes to look nominally for asteroids. But the proposal is to have one pointed at the Earth, and then you, the user, the online happy person, can then get that telescope to point at anything you want. And it sounds very romantic.
cool.
Mount Everest.
Yeah.
But maybe, your neighbor's yard, what have you. So,
Check if the lights are on when you're away.
for example,
How does wait? Anyone can access it?
anyone who's I don't understand the price structure exactly, but you give so much money to Arkyd, or ARKYD, and they will give you access to this telescope based on some formula. And I imagine.
Do
the
you
more
hear
money-
that, very creepy people?
I don't think I like this
international spy
idea.
Agencies.
Well, so
Putting a dome over my house,
yeah.
man.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know what the resolution would be and how much value it would be. But what do you do when you download Google Earth and get it running on your computer? What's the first thing you do?
you
look
look
at your
at to
house.
see
You
where
look
all
at-
your exes live. You second.
Eugene, I
You find
keep
your house.
some of that to
That's
yourself.
a warning to
Yeah.
Eugene's exes right there.
Yeah.
That was Eugene.
Yeah.
Just anyway.
Oh, how many were we talking about? I mean, in round numbers. 100 to 300.
Yeah, no, normal. All right, here's another question.
Yes.
Daniel Segraves asks, since our government doesn't understand priorities,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I
given
want to
that.
contribute to NASA financially or otherwise, I don't know what he means, send them poems. What is the most effective way to do so? So that's a similar question. What
I
is-
would claim the most effective way is to vote. That you hire people, which we
Yeah.
call congressmen and senators, to make these decisions. And you hire them to figure out where to send money to what. So you write them letters, you call them. You could, for example, join the Planetary Society at planetary.org, and we will work to influence Congress to ensure
What
funding
about
for
lobbyists?
space.
I mean, are there lots of people who hire lobbyists?
Yeah, well, contractors do. Yeah, contractors,
NASA
your
can do
Lockheeds, your Boeings. I don't want to drop too many names. But we're going to have to take another break. And I encourage everyone to check out the podcast on iTunes. I encourage you to check out Facebook, your Twitter, your Google, your Pinterest, all the stuff the kids are into. www.startalkradio.net. We will talk to you on the other side of this break. Welcome back to Star Talk Radio. Bill Nye, the science guy here, guest hosting this week on our Cosmic Queries edition of Star Talk. Here as always with Eugene Mirman and special guest this week, Mike Massimino. Call him Mass. He flew in space. Now, Mass, as we call you, you were following up on this question about how do we participate in
Yeah.
space?
Because they
Yeah.
asked financially or otherwise. What are other ways?
Yeah,
that you can help
financially, I'm not a
NASA?
financial guy.
Okay.
But otherwise, I would suggest for Daniel, who asked the question, and maybe some of his friends too, if you're interested in the space program and want to contribute, there's ways to contribute with your own interests and your own energy and your own efforts. If you have a passion for the space program, which I assume he does because he's
Yeah.
taken time to write us a question,
Yeah.
and whether he's interested in science or math, or if he's interested in literature or art or comedy in your
Yeah.
case, right?
You never
And
know.
you're interested in the
Really?
space program, use your talents to promote the space program, to work on the space program.
Get a job in aerospace.
Get a job.
Yeah.
Become an engineer.
Invent
change
something.
The world.
See what's going
Make
on.
a
There's
space
lots of-
shuttle or a weapon.
and there's there's a lot of resources out there where you can find out what's going on in different parts of the country, different parts
Yeah.
of the world, and see what you can do to make it part of your life. I think that's the best way for a young person. I'm assuming maybe he's not a young person, but
I don't know. He has a last name.
doesn't
so
have a
who
last name,
knows?
so he's probably of some age. Get involved and do it. I would say take it.
He's over 5 years old
So
and under
He's over
90.
if he can write, so he's ready to go.
Yeah.
So let me just say about getting involved.
Yeah.
Well, getting involved in space, at least if you live in the U.S., it means influencing NASA.
Yeah.
Yes?
I'm surprised more people don't hire lobbyists to get together, hire lobbyists to just generally pressure all Congress people to have more funding for NASA.
Well, we do at the Planetary Society.
You do. So give you guys money, and then you'll hire all lobbyists. We just need.
We have one. We have one.
Yeah, but what if you had 5? What if you had?
There you go.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, let's do this.
So,
Yeah.
well, along that line, as you may know, I did a little video, an open letter to the President of the United States, encouraging him to ensure that we have funding for this niche. It's a line item within a line item. Let's say NASA's a line item, planetary science is a line item. I just want him to fund it at a level high enough to keep the current missions flying. You know, we have Cassini flying around Saturn. Messenger went to Mercury. We got Juno going to Jupiter. It's crazy. We got 2 rovers on Mars. And those programs, the Curiosity rover, all in, developed over 10, or you could call it 12 years, cost $1.5 billion. That's like 1 cup of coffee per taxpayer, for crying out loud. And let me tell you something that concerns me.
Let's stop helping kids and let's start helping space
Is it
shuttles.
a good cup of coffee, or is it?
Yeah, fancy
moderate?
one. But let me say, it's $1.5 billion. It's on Mars, and it's not even locked. Anybody could just walk up to it. I don't. It's shocking. So
We
do
should have
no
a
low
mission
jack.
to steal the rover on Mars.
That's not a bad contest.
Oh my God!
Somebody
that's a great
you'd have to
contest.
build a thing to go to land on Mars. It's quite an extraordinary
All right,
undertaking.
let me ask a question.
Crime doesn't pay, folks.
Unless you can get to Mars. Then I think
That's why it
reasonable.
doesn't pay. It's too expensive to get to Mars.
Right. It's not affordable. Okay, Gavin Boucher asks, he's from Melbourne, Australia. He asks, do you lament the lack of funding, not just for NASA, but for science education in general? From a distance, the other side of the world, it appears that America's school science programs are not receiving the backing that they should and are under attack from other influences such as religious and political agendas.
If I were king of the forest. Yes, we would have more funding for science. But if I may, let's not call it channel, but speak on behalf of my beloved colleague Neil deGrasse Tyson, who would normally be hosting StarTalk Radio, if we had a robust space program where investment was being made at a higher level than it is now, and we were going to someplace new and cool with people like Mass, flying out into space, someplace new and exciting, you wouldn't need to run in circles screaming about science, technology, engineering, and math, which we like to call STEM. It would just happen.
It would be the real trickle down of science. That is a real thing.
It would well, not just science, but exploration.
Right. Adventure.
And exactly, because there's 2 things that happen, Mass. You've been up there, you've done it. When you go exploring, 2 things. You're going to make discoveries. You're going to find things you never found before. The other thing you're going to have, Eugene, and adventure.
Adventure. Oh,
You're
yeah.
gonna have
Of course
an
you'll have
adventure.
adventure. Did you guys, when you were in space, did you discover anything? Were you like, oh, this is a thing nobody knows about shoes? Bad example.
Well,
but you know what I mean.
actually, it depends how you look at it. We were more or less the workers, the maintenance people for the Hubble Space Telescope. So we didn't look through the telescope.
Space
we
mechanics.
fixed it, but our smart people here on Earth, all the astronomers, for example, Adam Rees and a group of other astronomers won a Nobel Prize. The theory of dark energy and dark matter came out of Hubble.
Oh, wow.
Observation.
Out of what you fixed.
Out of we fixed. So we were more like the repair people. But you know the astounding discoveries that were made.
But didn't you
Some
fly
could say
up
the
with like
greatest
a snake
discoveries
in a
ever
box
made by
just to see what would
Oh,
happen?
like our own fun stuff?
Like, did you go like, yeah, we're gonna fix the Hubble, and while we
Not
do this,
snake.
here's some like snakes and shoes, and let's see how rabbits act
No, we had
when you
Swedish
throw them in
fish,
space.
candies and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, we did our own little experiments.
Oh, okay.
But we played baseball in
You didn't
space.
publish them.
Yeah,
Did you walk in space and play baseball? No.
I did. I walked in space and I played baseball separately.
Okay. Well, now
We
you
played
have a new
baseball
goal.
inside the cabin, but we did participate in some human subject tests. But the big science objectives for us were to get Hubble fixed,
to discover dark matter.
to discover some
See, and
really
people
cool stuff.
they throw
Nice.
around the term dark matter, dark energy. Everybody throws it around like it's just everybody knows about
It's
it.
an extraordinary.
now.
But Mass is the guy
Nobel
that
Prize winning stuff.
So we got to take another break. We encourage you all to enjoy your www.startalkradio.net. Check us out on Pinterest and check us out right after this break. Welcome back. Bill Nye, the Science Guy here, guest hosting Star Talk Radio this week, the Cosmic Queries edition. and where we answer your questions. Eugene,
Yes.
you got another question?
I do, from Andrew Robles. Here we go. Scenario. You're in an elevator with a congressman who has a lot of say over where tax money gets spent. You have 1 minute until the elevator arrives at its destination. What examples of economic, technological, or any other returns would you use to convince him that space exploration is worth funding more?
Yes?
With a minute to go, I would say that it's going to stimulate the economy with new technology, new developments in the science field, coming new discoveries in materials and medicines and so on. It helps education because it inspires young people.
Yeah.
And it promotes international cooperation because we have our International Space Station
Right.
and other science programs, and it gives us something for our future. It's about exploration in our future.
Yes, by my reckoning, you did it in 56 seconds.
Yeah.
Nicely
All right,
done.
now onto my floor, and I'm on my way. But Bill, what would you say?
I'd say space exploration brings out the best in us. It's inherently optimistic. It stimulates the economy in the U.S. at least $3.60 for every dollar that goes in. And we make discoveries that literally change the world. Astronomy has changed the world. We found that the Earth goes around the sun. That changed everything.
Yeah.
We found the sun's not unique.
The first
we found
people
the
were maybe
galaxies-
punished for it, but yes.
It sounds
Galileo
like it, yeah.
came up.
But it did change the world. And now people throw around the expression dark energy, dark matter, like it's a day at the office, but we all take it for granted that there is such a thing or such things. And these were not discovered even really 15 years ago. Who knows what new physics? Who knows what is over the next horizon? And, Congressman, if I may just speak as a guy born in the U.S. and as a patriot, don't you want the U.S. to continue to lead in this thing? Isn't that what you want, Mr. Congressman?
Yeah.
Ms. Congressman.
All right, here's another question from Cameron Nuss. He wants to know how long, if at all, before a manned mission to Titan. Would this be a public or private sector venture? Yeah.
That's a long old way out there. Titans, that's a long old way.
How long would it take to get to Titan,
Well,
first of all? With
Depends
today's
on your
technology?
rocket ship.
Yeah, but
Let's say I'm
President-
using one
long
I got
time. How long would that
at
take?
Target.
That's a long
Cassini
time.
took 5 years, right?
Yeah, that's a long time.
5 years.
And this is, we don't have the technology right now to stay away from all that radiation. It's not clear how bad that is.
How much radiation?
Enough to kill you, which is you probably don't want.
Even to kill a baby that maybe could adapt more?
Yeah, and so on. Well,
You have
that's
a
not
lot
how
of
it works.
shielding. You try to make it better, but
What if we sent babies that grew up and then no? Oh, it's a
No,
thought.
that's not how
They have the
evolution
diaper thing
works.
down.
You'd have to
They-
have a whole bunch of babies
they'd
and
have-
see
they-
which one made it through.
they'd have no trouble wearing diapers.
Yeah, you
Which
could
Been there.
astronauts have
Mass
to
has
do.
been there.
send like a 12-year-old, a bunch of 12-year-olds that will grow up slowly during the mission.
But what we've
You're a
been
genius.
Yeah.
You need to be. You need to be talking to that congressman in
the
the
other
elevator.
thing, Mass, how much trouble did you have with bone loss, calcium loss?
I'd only been, my trips were 2 weeks at a time, Bill. So it wasn't too. But we've got that licked, we think. But
how
we've got
much-
it licked through lots of exercise.
How
So
much do you lose?
You can lose a very significant amount if you did nothing in space. If you did not exercise, you would lose a lot.
How much do you exercise when you go there?
So right now, to counteract that, there is some medicine you can take, and that's, again, a benefit of the space program because it also applies to osteoporosis to prevent bone loss.
Yeah.
But still, the way we've gotten around that, we don't have bone loss. It's not an issue anymore. But what we have to do to counteract it is 2 hours of exercise 6 days a week.
Oh, wow.
So that's a
So
lot
that's
of lost
significant.
time.
It's a lot of time.
Because you're on the payroll.
How do
You're
you
on the
exercise
payroll.
in space? There's machines with resistance.
Yes,
that you
so
can
there's
kind of
it's a
feel.
good point because you can lift weights all you want and it ain't going to do you any good in space, right?
Right.
So what we have is we have
Wait a
resistive,
minute.
resistive
That's
exercise.
crazy.
You're like Hercules, Bill.
Yeah.
But it's
You
we have
just have a
resistive
machine
exercise.
that tries to crush you. And you
That's
try
right.
To,
You try,
like
more or
in-
less. That's
like
what-
basically like that scene
That's
in
the way
Star
it's.
Wars.
That's sometimes the way it's described when it's on the fritz. Be careful of the thing. But it works on springs and therabands, like you might have seen in rehab medicine. So it's resistive exercise, plus it's also a treadmill is generally a popular way to exercise. So it's both cardio and it's also resistive exercise. And it's resistive exercise that keeps your bones in good shape.
from turning
And to this
dust.
questioner,
Yes.
it's a long way. And who's paying for it? It's a lot of fuel.
Yeah,
Do we have another question, fearless leader?
we do. So Justin Foley asks, how do you see CubeSats and other small spacecraft affecting space exploration?
I think these things are great, Bill.
It's the coolest thing.
What's a CubeSat?
It's a
Let's get
CubeSat is
into
a
that.
small experiment that can be flown by universities. I think high school students have
10
done them as well.
centimeters by 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters.
So
wow.
it's fantastic. Those are great opportunities for,
So they're
for science
standards.
community and for education.
They fit on a standard launcher ring. They go off from a standard spring-loaded gizmo. And I gotta point out, the Planetary Society is going to fly 2 solar sails. Stick with us. There are CubeSats that will be deployed in space to see if we can develop technology to fly
Good stuff.
to other planets without any fuel. So
we'll have to talk more about that.
Yes,
when we
will
come back.
talk more about that on the other side of this break. Please stay tuned to StarTalk Radio. Welcome back to StarTalk Radio. Bill Nye, the Science Guy here, guest hosting this week on the Cosmic Queries edition. Now, Eugene.
Yeah, I wanted to know more about CubeSats. So you were like, yeah, universities can have them. What is it? How do you make it? How much do they cost?
They're 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters, very small, fit in a lunchbox.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a standard that can be launched from a standard system on board a standard rocket. And so you can launch generally 7 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Universities make these things. You can buy the circuit boards and software online.
Can a person launch it, or you need a rocket?
Well, these things still cost $1 million. They cost
okay.
a lot of money.
But you get a grant. I mean,
okay.
It's a program. You can apply for a grant to NASA.
And
if your grant is accepted and you have funding to do it, then you build your project, fly it in space, and it's great. It's a great way to. It's a relatively inexpensive way
to explore space.
To put it this way, if your grant's accepted.
Nice. All right, let's do a lightning round.
Which brings us to the lightning round.
All right,
a few seconds per question. Here's
a question. Dyer Mayo wants to know, would it be possible to host a music festival on a radio satellite for a, quote, hip promotional event? Is there a way NASA could start a nationwide door-to-door survey to get people to sign a petition to raise the NASA budget?
That sounds like a 2-part question, and I think if you got a corporation involved, excited about your music, that corporation could easily fund such a satellite. The big problem will be getting a license, and say it's all solvable problems.
Yeah.
Get out there and do it.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Shagra wants to know, do we really have to choose between Cassini and curiosity? I don't want to lose either.
We at the Planetary Society are petitioning the U.S. government to not have to make that choice. That there should be enough funding for planetary science, a line item within the NASA budget, to fund both missions. That the Cassini's out there. You know how much money we've invested in that? Time, effort, and energy, for crying out loud. We've got to keep them both flying.
Okay. Here we go. Debbie Large wants to know, why isn't there more news coverage of science advancement? When I was a kid, all networks had a science correspondent. That's true. What the hell?
Well, now there's a whole channel called the Science Channel.
Yeah, but why not? Yeah, but that's for people who already like science or want to watch toilets get built and how it works at a factory. What about like like NBC? What about major networks being like, this is the weather and this is today's science?
I guess it doesn't sell well enough, or else they would have it.
Yeah, there's other sources for that information, mostly online. We recommend planetary.org. I just did a fabulous thing with IFLS. I won't spell that out. Just go check it out because it's the news of science.
I think it could be. I think it's a shame that it's not seen as a more interesting topic or maybe more entertaining.
The three of us will fix it.
Yeah, we need to. That's what we're trying to do now. But I agree, it should be more in the mainstream.
Okay,
I think it could be.
I think so. Jimmy Class Manson wants to know, since China is now sending robots to the moon, does the U.S. have any plans of doing the same?
Not right now. There are congressmen and senators who insist that the U.S. go back to the moon in some fashion. There are other people that insist that the moon is a big gravity well and no, we should go beyond it. To start with, Mass, do you have an opinion?
I think we should go with the Chinese if we could. I think it would be a nice thing to cooperate on.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Fabulous.
All right, here we go. Andrea Humray wants to know, what are you most hopeful about when it comes to humanity's relationship with the Earth?
I'm most hopeful that people will find ways to innovate and engineer the entire planet. I think that's the future as the human population continues to increase and our scientific literacy increases worldwide through education.
I think more people that get to see the Earth from space, particularly artists and so on, that are hopefully going to have the opportunity.
If we could only
explain it better enough. I think it increases your appreciation of how beautiful the planet is. So that's my hope.
Right on.
All right, Daniel Sprouse wants to know, Bill, why don't you run for office? Bill Nye the Science POTUS has a nice ring to it.
Oh, sure. So Neil deGrasse Tyson and I are working on our cabinet on who would have Do you guys want to
Court jester.
Yeah.
Court jester.
Yeah, no, wait. Why'd you take that?
Wait a
That's
second.
I would be more fun job. All right, you be the court jester.
Yeah.
I'll be the engineering advisor.
Advisor.
We're a package team.
Exactly. All right. Oh, wait. Those are from the beginning. Here's a question. So Stephen Stafford wants to know, how do I get the people in my life to see the importance of space exploration? I try my best to spread the word and show the wonders of our universe, but no one seems to care. Also, I'm a very poor student and can't afford a membership to the Planetary Society. Think you can help me out, Mr. Nye?
I don't know why you're having trouble influencing people. It sounds like you are a pretty convincing guy.
Yeah.
Stick with it.
All right. Here we go. Here's a question from Nick Clarity. NASA is sending us back to the moon, quote, for good, and also for preparation for Mars. How much actual engineering on the moon will prepare us for Mars? Can we really learn what we need for Mars from the moon, or is it a waste of money?
I refer, of course, I hearken to Tex Johnston, the test pilot on the very first 707 airplane, who remarked, "One test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. Let's go try it."
I think the moon is our playground, and we can learn a tremendous amount by stopping there on our way to Mars. Yeah.
Yep. The
How hard
moon
could it be?
And Europe.
This has been this has been a fabulous Cosmic Queries edition of StarTalk Radio. I want to thank my guests, Mike Massimino,
Close enough. That's
Massimino, mama.
Eugene, we have got a good example of why, for my entire life, I've been called Mass.
We're out of time. You guys are out of time. Eugene Mirman, spelled just like Mir.
Yeah.
The Russian, the
Russian / world
space
man.
station. So join us next time on StarTalk Radio as we work together to, dare I say it, change the world.
This is StarTalk.